video will describe the two important components of SAP Gateway Security, enabling authentication and managing data security. Let us check out the different aspects of enabling authentication, the first one being the single sign-on. The identity provider, IDP, has a trust relationship with service provider, SP. Based on initial authentication, user gets a security token. It is passed to the consuming application which acts as the service provider. Based on the valid security token presented, the user is granted access to the SAP Gateway service. Take a pause to go through the process flow of a single sign-on. The authentication options are provided here. The connectivity layer contains any solution that secures the access of external consumers. This is a firewall or a reverse proxy. The next layer is the SAP Gateway Hub, which is responsible for OData support, authentication, protection of business functions from potential malicious attacks and authorization checks on service level and routing. The Business Suite backend translates OData requests into corresponding remote function calls, RFC, that finally call the service implementation in the data provider class. In the backend, the application-specific authorizations of the user are checked. Take a pause to go through the process flow of authentication options. Whenever an HTTP request is received from the outside world, the request enters the HTTP framework on the hub. It is then authenticated using different authentication options provided by SAP NetWeaver Web Application Server. The Gateway Hub framework calls the Gateway Backend framework via an RFC call that uses a trusted RFC connection. The SSO from the hub to the backend is based on the SAP assertion tickets. It contains the username logged onto the SAP Gateway Hub system. Same user IDs needs to be maintained in the Gateway Hub as well as in the Gateway Backend system. To achieve SSO end-to-end for the consumer, a seamless log-on at the Gateway Hub must be achieved. Take a pause to go through the process flow of the various methods of authentication. Take a pause to read the various gateway options and their corresponding requirements. Consumer is any client-side SAP UI5 application. This also can be a SAP UI5 application via a mobile device. SAP UI5 consumer application communicates to the customer's environment via reverse proxy. Reverse proxy performs as a server-side proxy which is used to avoid same-origin policy limitations. SAP Gateway Server also acts as a front-end server for Fiori-like applications and hosts on the SAP UI5's Business Server page. SAP Gateway Hub and IDP support Security Assertion Markup Language 2.0 SSO profile with artifact redirect binding. The gateway trusts SAML assertion signed by the IDP certificate. The Gateway Hub uses trusted RFC connection to access the SAP Business Suite backend system with a named user SAP Supply Network collaboration. Take a pause to go through the process flow of SAP UI5 consumption architecture. Take a pause to read through the various consumer applications and corresponding authentication options for SAP Gateway. Now let us look at the different components used to manage data security. Here is a scenario where an attacker is involved in a cross-site request forgery. Take a pause to read the steps to be followed to resolve a cross-site request forgery. Listed are the steps to be followed for gateway client handling of CSRF tokens. Take a pause to read. In cross-confidential data handling, confidential data might be contained in URL parameters. Example, using credit card number as URL parameter to fetch credit card information. Even if HTTPS is used, Passing parameters along with URL is not a secure option and could potentially be retrieved from server logs where the HTTPS connection of a request gets terminated. If such a request is sent via $badge, the URL becomes part of the HTTP payload and gets secured via HTTPS. Take a pause to learn the process of CSRF token handling and confidential data handling. This brings us to the end of this video.